Hello and everyone. We are excited to have you here with us. So today we'll be talking about a very important topic, which is AI in assortment optimization. I'm Bartek, your host. But before we start, I want you to quickly point to a very interesting and valuable resource, which is the recording from our previous webinar, which I can think it's a very interesting point and like an entry point to today's topic. So we can scan the QR code, which you can see on your screen right now to watch it. Now, I'd like to introduce our expert, Jakub. So instead of me talking about his accomplishments, I will let him introduce himself. So Jakub, over to you.
Thanks, Bartek. Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining this webinar. My name is Jakub. I'm leading the data science practice for the last 7 years at DS Stream and have experience in the retail space and FMCG. And today I'll be joining you and guiding you through the process of analytics for assortment optimization.
Thanks, Jakub. So let's talk about the main problem. Many assortment choices are still just guesswork. So Jakub, can you tell us what is the main business problem we'll be tackling today?
We'll be talking about why traditional category management approaches often fall short, and we'll get there in a second. Then we'll just tackle a couple of most important cornerstones for each optimization problem. So we look at how leading retailers are leaving behind the one-size-fits-all approach, moving towards more analytical segmentations. Then we'll shift from hindsight to foresight, exploring how predictive forecasting changes the game for assortment. And we also dive into the science behind shopper responses, right? Understanding how elasticity and cross-demand modeling reveal what truly drives sales. And finally, as a bonus, please stay tuned. We're going to show you the true impact of Gen AI in action. We're going to show you a live demo of our retail Copilot solution. It's an intelligent assistant that brings all these insights together in real time.
Yes, exactly. So the main issue is that data-driven often means Excel and a guess. So Jakub, can you explain why this is not enough in the modern era of AI development?
Still, so most category managers still operate in spreadsheets or static Power BI. So the decisions are guided by the gut, right? So and rather than experience and not data-driven. It's also stemmed from the fact that a lot of data is segmented in an organization, right? So we have third-party sellout data, you've got internal margins, you've got Nielsen data, consumer research, and making correlations and synthesis of this data is pretty slow and painful, right? So, and even when Gen AI is introduced to category management, it's usually just a productivity booster. From my perspective, it's just helping write formulas or getting faster summarization of the market research, not a real kind of transformation of decision making. So the result is that your teams work faster, but not necessarily smarter.
Yes, exactly. So let's look at the first solution here. So a key fact is one strategy for all stores just basically does not work. So Jakub, how does Gen AI helps us fix this one-size-fits-all problem?
So that's true. So many companies still rely the assortment decision on solely store formats. So hypermarket, supermarket, convenience store, right? Simply cutting the length of the assortment list. But consumers don't shop by format; they shop by need, lifestyle, or mindset, right? Analytical segmentation, application of analytical segmentation allows us to group stores by actual usage, right, and behavior, and local preferences. For example, we can group together the eco-aware consumers from the affluent suburbs versus price-sensitive shoppers in small towns. And very often, a single analytical segment spans multiple formats and regions.
Yeah, and what kind of data is necessary for this type of analysis?
The more, the merrier, I would say, right? So a lot of information is in the sales POS data itself, but also you can enrich it with external factors, social demographic information. And Gen AI is not only enriches the data you use here, but it's also transformative in the way you create segmentations, because it's not replacing algorithms. It's more of it's helping improve the process, helping interpret and profile these clusters once they are found. So instead of looking at the raw statistics and mathematical results, you can create human readable kind of scenarios and understand who the shoppers really are and what drives the choices.
Yeah, thanks, Jakub, for this explanation. And next let's talk a little bit about forecasting, because old forecasts often fail with things like holidays or promotions. So the question is, how does Gen AI helps us with this?
Yeah, so forecasting is for sure kind of a cornerstone of the optimization of model category management. And for me, it's very important to this transition from this fundamental shift from kind of retrospective looking at things to predictive decision making. What you're asking, like how Gen AI helps us, it helps us by enriching the forecast with unstructured signals. So like promotions, so events, competitor actions, and even social engagement, social sentiment. These are the factors that classical machine learning models, traditional approaches overlook, right? What is more, it also helps to explain the results in plain language. So allowing your kind of commercial team to understand why your demand is changing, not just how much it will change.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. And this brings us to the question about future of forecasting, because recently I read a paper about AI that was able to understand why things happen by reading text, like text from news or other sources. And this AI was capable even of for resolving its own and learn from its own mistakes. So, Kuba, the question is: do you think we are close to mature AI solutions which can learn from context, just like seasoned data analysts?
Yes, I think we're getting the most cutting edge research that was shown in last conferences. It shows that the future road ahead in forecasting is kind of using Gen AI, kind of a mix of models, different experts that cooperate together and correlate and stack together different data sources, different embeddings like the weather information signal, your sellout signal, some promotion information. They put it together in some kind of abstraction and then try to iterate with different roles to find the best kind of and most precise forecast for your problem.
Yeah, thank you. So let's talk about price. Companies often lose money because they don't know the best price for each product. So Gen AI is also capable of helping us with this?
Yeah, when we talk about price elasticity, it's we're really talking about how much money is being left on the table, right? Because some customers are happy to pay the 10% premium, while others are so price sensitive that even a 5% increase, as stated here, kills all the demand. Yet in many cases, we do price them the same, and AI can help us in this. Can of course at scale quantify the sensitivity of each SKU, right? Showing which products are elastic, so which small price changes lead to big volume shifts, right? And which are inelastic, so where we can experiment with margin a little more and with little risk, right? And what is more, the recent AI application can also can clearly allow you to separate the base demand versus changes from the short-term promotion events, right?
Yeah, thank you. And here is a common problem. You remove one product from the shell and sales for another product just fail. So I'm wondering, does Gen AI is Gen AI capable and able to find these hidden links between products?
Yes. So once you understand the base elasticity of your products, next step is to look at how products influence each other, right? So then that cross-demand analysis has been kind of used for a while now. So some goods are, as you see here, complementary, right? So like coffee and sugar, when promoting one increases demand for the other, whereas the substitutes, when the price goes up of one, shoppers switch to another brand or flavor. So this allows you. There is a kind of wide selection of models you can employ to model this kind of relationships, and this helps us not only just optimize individual prices, but entire categories, right? Imagine coordinating prices, promotion, shelf strategies, right, across related products. And GenAI helps you, again, not with like how much, but like with why and what to kind of combine. It helps you to create stories that are resonating with proper audiences, right?
Yeah, so retailers can use this with their detailed data, but what about manufacturers? Because they have less detailed data. Can they also use this type of analysis?
Yes, cross-demand analysis, of course, is it's easier to perform this kind of analysis once you have the POS market basket data that retailers do possess. But if you're a manufacturer, also not at a loss, you can do some more high-level analytics, especially on the correlation of the kind of category percentages, category shares, right, and do some modeling that are still valid and useful in analytics, especially when you're kind of creating optimization model and want to understand how substituting, like taking away one of your products results into kind of combined effects on the other products that are either complementary or a substitute, right, to this product.
Yeah, thank you. So these tools are great, but they need to be easy for everyone to use, not just for data scientists. So I'm wondering, how does generative AI helps us with that?
Yes, so I think I've touched already on all of those three kind of aspects that for me are the most important. First of all, there's great value in Gen AI in enriching and correlating the separate sources that were hard to do before. For example, correlating the outside data from promotional sources like, I don't know, leaflets, right, or some external data like outside of organization, and linking it back to your, for example, product hierarchy, right? This kind of fuzzy matching is much easier and much more powerful with Gen AI. Then there's another kind of takeaway for another premium for the data scientists and analysts, that they can convey the results and understand results better and be able to create stories that are understandable and win the trust of the organization on the category managers and of the business stakeholders. So like translation from kind of mathematical terms to more layman terms, or more kind of understandable, approachable narration. And last, but definitely not least, I would say that the most profound for me and transitional kind of is the ability to bridge all those kind of analytics that were usually an organization for a very long time, we're already there, just creating a new interface to be able to correspond, to talk with your data, to be able to instantly correlate different sources, and be able to also understand not only text, but also multi-structure, so images, documents, right, and put it all together in some recommendation for the stakeholders. And this also, being able to do it at scale, limits and kind of puts away this bottlenecks that are usually inside a company on the kind of analyst level, right? Because you have a limited amount of talent, of IT, tech, of data engineers, data analysts, and having kind of, agent, kind of solution that would kind of scale this capability and put it in the hands of your not only category managers, but also salespeople. It's a pretty powerful thing.
Yes, so many types of data can be used here. So can you tell us more about this?
Yes. So building on top of the problem that we defined earlier, right? So joining the separate data sources, being able to talk with data with a little experience, a little tech background, right? This what's guided us toward the solution that I'm describing here. This co-pilot for retail data, we call it, right? It's kind of virtual assistant that can crunch not only tabular data, like normally historical sales data, promotional, media, loyalty, right? But it can also help you understand and collate quickly information that is unstructured, like contract, legal, marketing briefs, right? Planograms that you have described, so rules, right? And merchandising strategies that you have outlined somewhere out there, be it in the SharePoint, cloud storage, anywhere in the organization. You can index it and ask the assistant to help you understand these documents.
Yeah.
And of course, there is this modality of images. It's very important for assortment, because You have to validate what was out there in the open, how the shelf looked like at the time. You have to validate the promotional and enforcing promotions, validating the planograms compliance, right? This kind of capabilities also are important for everyone that's involved in assortment and category planning.
Yeah, exactly. So thanks, Jakub, for the explanation here.
I think, Bartek, we can, with this, we can just dive into the demo, right? If I
Yeah.
cannot host. Okay. So bear with me. So what you are seeing right now is a live demo of our Copilot solution. So everything you see all happening in real time across several systems. So if there's a little lag or something doesn't behave perfectly, well, that's how you know it's really live. So please forgive me. So let me guide you through the system, right? So first we start with a little bit of configuration, because for corporate solution, for every company, it's important to govern and to control which kind of data your assistant has access to, right? So the first pillar is the tabular data, and here we're relying on Google Stack, so we're using BigQuery data lakehouse, but you can think of it as any database that you have in your organization can be plugged in here. We have a synthetic data we've prepared for this demonstration. We have two categories, beverages and snack data. So you can select which kind of historical data can be accessed. So for example, here in beverage daily data, you see the structure of the table, you see the kind of top values, what kind of categories, kind of store clusters, analytical store clusters were identified. And this is automatically, this summary here, is automatically created from the data itself to feed our assistant with the proper knowledge. So he does not need to ask if the user is asking for Coke. In fact, is asking for cola products, right? Or this has a typo in his query. It's going to be a fallback on the results of the knowledge it already has of the data profiling. So, and what is more, and it's very important also never to be neglected, is that there are some hints. Every user has different kind of usage patterns, different preferences. So on the table level, you can also specify, for example, some hints how to treat the data. For example, if there is no resolution, ask for resolution of time, always respond with weekly granularity or monthly granularity, right? Depending on the preference of your business or your all kind of data necessities. But apart from table data, there's also, as I mentioned before, we have access to the files, a multi-structure file like PDFs, Word files that are indexed, right? So in some cloud storage, we have kind of contract information, logistics, price lists. So whatever we click here, our agent has access to this data. We can control the level, right? For example, if we don't want the retail assistant to be able to respond to legal questions, we can just deselect it here. And what is more, also there is another kind of information with store visit when we store our pictures of shelves that are analyzed by the assistant. Yeah, so we can control what is available here. So once we click through the configuration, we can fire away and try to go with our with the chat interface. And chat interface is just what we're seeing here is just one of the front ends that's available. We can, of course, plug it into tool of choice. You can expose it as a Teams agent or a Google Chat agent, right? So let's start with something simple. Here in the conversation, we can ask data from whatever domain we have, but let's start with something simple. So, for example, summarize the sales by category last month, right? Let's see if it works. So right now it needs to understand my intent, create a query, run it against the database, come back, as kind of confirm it with the hints that it has, and respond with some response, right? Okay, so there is a straight answer. So results in September, cola was the highest sale, approximately 130,000 units, right? So I instantly seen the image because I asked the chat to automatically generate visualization for my questions. So I see that cola is by far the best and energy is the worst. So this is a basic kind of understanding of the data, retrospective analysis. But what about if I'm, for example, see the energy? So I see energy. Energy is underperforming. I am planning a new promo campaign. Can you recommend best promo type given past results, right? I'm planning. So hopefully what I'm going to receive, so it needs to go to the proper table with the historical performance of campaigns, focus on the energy drinks, right, and provide me a summary of which promo campaign type was the best. Okay, so I see that the bundle 2+1 in my case, bundle +1 and free offer were the best. I can see here. Okay, so energy and promo, so energy, promo, efficiency. So exactly what I wanted. So I can do also some promo. I can ask it about some promo analytics, and you see also get some hints already by default. So looking at your history of your queries and looking at which direction you take, it also guides you to the next step of the analytics. But I don't want to follow the hints. I want to do something else. Let's see. I want to see top 5 SKUs in energy by sales. I want to do some, price elasticity estimation. So I want to see, understanding, can you estimate the demand change if I increase the price of my, let's select one SKU, let's say the top one, for example, by 4%, and please show impact across all store types. Okay, so I hopefully what it's going to do is going to go to the database, grab the elasticity estimates from the machine learning model, check across different store clusters, because different store clusters have different elasticities, and show me the impact of this change. Okay, so for example, if you increase the price 5%, the demand is to decrease by approximately 5.6% in small towns, which has the highest probably, yes, elasticity, like absolute highest elasticity. And of course, it will impact the least travel and transit, which is no-brainer, because usually those shops are kind of low elastic, right? Because there is no other shop in the area, so you can ask the high margin there. So this is kind of, so we can do proactive. You can also ask, I can ask also about the future. If I have this data in my database, I want to see to see forecasted sellout for the same kind of SKU in small towns and wealthy suburbs. Let's see if it figures this out. Of course, sorry for my typo, but they are bound to happen also in production system, right? So LLM should handle those kind of small issues with typing. Let's see. Okay, I think we got it, right? So we have now only future, so October 16th and October 17th, and we have small towns in blue, dark blue, and wealthy suburbs in light blue. So we can take a look at how this looks like. So you can see that we can ask it about the kind of tabular data, but not only tabular data is supported. We can also ask it about some documents. So, for example, I want to review contract with retailer Tiger. Can you summarize the bonus structure? The bonus structure here, right? Let's see if it works. So it's going to look for all the documents it has indexed, right? It has available, and look for the chunk document and try to come up with that relevant answer. Okay, so you see, for example, here we found it always grounded in a document, so not to hallucinate, so come up with kind of untrue information, right? We asked the system to always kind of come up with which document it has found the snippet, and it summarizes, for example, 6% bonus if we achieve over 120% quarterly sales target, right? And so this is like, you can ask about your documents, but that's not all. You can also do those kind of last phase that I described in the presentation. So you can do I want to do planogram validation, for example, validation for let's stick it to Tiger Retailer. Show me best beverage aisles in the last 20 days by concordance. So we have indexed all our images from the kind of the salesperson that we're doing, right? And we've analyzed them against our predefined set of rules. In our case, in DMOC, it's pretty straightforward. We just have to make sure that the cola is on top shelf, followed by juices, and the energy drinks are always on the bottom shelf. So here you see we have perfect concordance to our predefined rules. But for example, if we just invert the question, right, and if we just ask them for let's say for the worst, right, show me the worst aisles in beverage. So it's going to invert our report audits and show us the ones that strictly validate the rules that we have planned. So here, for example, we've got only 20% concordance because the water, there is like juice is not on the second top shelf, cola is not on the top shelf. And here's like a summary of what is going on wrong with this planograms. So this is just give you a glimpse of what's possible. Of course, the sales data is synthetic. The images can have multiple problems, but the bottom line here is a starting point that you can implement in your organization and allow not only category managers and your analysts, but also salesperson, people in the shop that decide what promotion to apply, right? How to change the ESL, the prices throughout the day, can also benefit from this solution. And I think with this we can go back to the presentation.
Yes, thank you, Jakub, for this demo. It was very insightful. So we were able to see all of those things that we discussed earlier. So ability to work with different types of data and forecasting. So that was just impressive. So the tools are great, but technology itself, it's not enough. It's not everything. We need to have a good plan. So our experience shows that a good plan has three main pillars. So it's discovery, starting simple, and a culture. So what's the key lesson here? Our main advice is just to start simple. So instead of having one big project, it's much better to break the process into smaller, manageable steps, and then we can iterate and build something different from this. And yeah, then brings us to the Q&A session. So it's time for you to ask your questions. Feel free to type your questions in the chat. We'll try to answer them. Do we have? Yeah, we have questions. It's a question from Magdalena. Impressive how your Copilot works with so many different sources. How to be sure that AI recommendations are reliable, especially when dealing with data like contract, docs, or shelf photos, if added?
Yeah, so that's some tricks of the trade. So of course, we do apply some tricks. I wanted to make this webinar more business oriented, but if you want to deep into the details, like technical stuff, for those guys that are kind of tech savvy at heart, so we're using, for example, low temperature of LLM models, right, for them not to come up with solution if they don't know, right? We put some guardrails if the response strictly that there is no document or no source material that supports the question that the user is bringing to the table. And we also have some kind of questions built in to validate that the response that is being brought back to the user corresponds, in fact, to the source material is taken from.
Okay, thanks, Jakub, for answering this one. And another one is how to predict the demand for new product.
Yeah, so that's a classic question from cold start problem, right? So there are different approaches. Usually, I would argue that the majority of the products and producers that we've worked with, there is no such thing as a new product per se. Is usually some kind of spin-off, right, or a spin-off of existing. So I would rely on kind of FIFO data, right? So phase in, phase out data that over the years probably is accumulated in the company. So something was phased out, something was phased in. So I would recommend that you observe the similar patterns of adoption with the most kind of similar product that's already been launched, like before.
Okay, thanks, Jakub, for tackling this one. And another one, how to investigate the trends for the market.
Investigate the trends for the market. So so I think it depends like who you ask. Definitely each category manager and salesperson has its own sources of truth and trends. Definitely there are sources that like portals in Polish internet and global, right, that summarizes the trends in the business that you can observe. You can plug into the commercial feeds to get you the most recent updates from top FMCG producers and markets. Also, there are some feeds that can be utilized. I know that there are from Nielsen, from CMR in Poland, right? So there are some kind of retail data that can be purchased if you really want to have the top-notch kind of curated data that you work with. But my recommendation is to start small, create a small kind of agent, LLM-based agent that crawls the internet, does the kind of Google News, crawls the information, just filters the news feed with the information that can be relevant to your business problem. This is, I think, the low-hanging fruit for me. Not to pay upfront for huge licenses. Just start from just creating something small.
Okay, thanks, Jakub. And less technical one this time. So what was the biggest human challenge in this project? How did you get experienced category managers to trust AI agent over their own intuition, which they've relied on for years?
Okay, so that's how you win trust, right? So I would say it like this. So it's hard, of course, to trust the solution, but you win trust by proving the quality of the results over and over again, right? You select the small section, small sub problem, and you tackle it first. I would call it the bowling alley strategy, right? You just just hone on it. Just for example, one category, single problem. You select kind of one person that will be the owner and advocate of the solution, and win its trust. And once this trust is won, it's easy for this person to promote it internally in the organization. It all depends on the culture of organization, of course, but I would say that start small, gain trust, and then expand into new fields, right, with your rollout.
Okay, thank you, Jakub. And do we have more questions? Probably not. So that was all the time that we have for questions. If we did not your question, just feel free to reach us after the webinar. More info about this in a while. And yeah, so our final message is simple. So let's start making decisions with AI. So if you're ready for the next step, you can scan the QR code, which you can see on your screen, to contact us. You can scan this code to schedule a meeting or ask a question if any appeared. So from Jakub and the whole DS-Stream team, we just want to thank you for your time and your questions. And yeah, see you on our next event. Thank you, Jakub, for your presentation and for the demo. It was very insightful.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And yeah, you're welcome. And I'm always eager to answer any questions you might have. So feel free to reach me out on LinkedIn or direct email.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you once again, and goodbye.
Take care.